Oh my Lord, Lord, Lord. I
All
ain't
you
gonna lie.
niggas
When
ain't shit.
Hold
Denzel
on.
said that one spiel.
Before
That was
everybody jump
spiritual
in,
right
hey,
there.
look,
Oh,
this is
shit.
why I love
Not the
my
spirit
people,
moving
man.
on
I
Uda.
love y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I love
When
my
Spirit moving
Denzel
white
said
folks too
that
right
one
now.
spiel,
Hold on.
man.
Hey, look, we could go into deep dive into anger, upset, then get right back to joking and having a good time. That's why I love our people. Man, we sang. Some people probably was in their house dancing and all that. So I just want to say I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like and the share button. Hopefully we give you something to rock out for the day. Y'all been rocking us for 5 hours so far. As long as y'all keep on supporting the show by hitting that like and the share button and possibly even sending $1 too. Hey, we're gonna keep on rocking with y'all. But you're gonna have to put some effort into it as well. You cannot just sit there and watch and do nothing. You gotta hit that like, you gotta hit that share, you gotta hit that comment. If it's your first time, please just say hello to us. We don't bite unless you like it. And also, we are looking for anybody for their first time. If you can, please show some love and support financially. We're looking for all for first-time supporters. If you are a supporter of reparations, send a $5 super chat. God damn it. Welcome into the show, Wall Street Willie. What is your thoughts? And then we got Uda, and then Cyber Dream's going to clean it up because she got a lot of things to say. And you let me know, Sweet Life of a Tar, if you want to jump in after Cyber Dream. So, Willie, Uda, Cyber, Sweet Life of Atari.
All right, so Habaragani. So I'm gonna just deal with the only logical portion of the conversation
Oh
that I've
shit!
heard so
Before
far,
you go,
right?
Willie,
In
I got
turn,
one question before you go, Willie. Willie,
yes, I would vote for
do you believe
reparations.
it's time for people to start treating FBA serious, or is it still just the internet talk?
No, FBA is totally destroying the conversation of reparations. They are
Hold on, no,
literally.
you missed my question, Willie.
Go ahead.
Before you move to your opinion on it,
Mhm.
do you believe that we should take it serious as a political movement, or is it just internet talk?
I think we should take it serious as being a problem, as holding us back from getting reparations. So I'll explain why. The supremacist vaginal vessel was the only one that made a logical point in terms of establishing, right, some standard for reparations. She used the 1870 census. Some people would argue to use the 1860 census because that was pre-Civil War, right? So you're having people that are documented as Negro on this census. You would argue that yes, they were affected by everything that was going on at the time. But here's the problem. When
1860
FBA,
census didn't list enslaved people by name.
well, no, but they did list them as the property of the owner. So a part of the
Not by
census,
name. They would just take a tally of how many enslaved people and whether like three male,
I'm
they
agreeing with you,
did it that way.
Diva.
Male 19, female 3. You get what I'm saying? So it was no names attached to it. That's why
Well,
we go
no,
with the 1870 census.
well,
If
no,
you knew what he
Diva.
was talking about, he would have talked
I
about the
did look
Homestead
at
Act in
portions of the
1865.
1860 census, and yes, in most cases, these slaves did have names. Typically, they would have the slave master's last name and some first name, right? So there are names attached to it. But here's the thing, right? The one thing I always say is
AI
the
says
the
no, the
real
1860 census rarely listed enslaved people by name, instead, enumerating them on separate slave schedules by age, sex, color, and owner's name, treating them as property. Only the enslaver's name appeared in the population schedule, though some
That
census
makes sense.
takers occasionally added names, which were often later amended.
all right,
Indeed. So
cool.
what about the
But don't kill a great
1865
point that
Homestead
you
Thank
Act?
you.
made,
Didn't people
right?
have the
Hold
same
on.
Okay,
name when the
hold
masculine
on,
happened?
y'all. Hold on, y'all. I'll let Diva and Willie have her out real quick
My
because
bad, y'all.
Uda is patiently waiting till he want to have his thoughts on
My
as
shit.
well.
My
So
bad.
Uda's supposed to be after Willie. Yeah, and I'll
Right.
definitely if you want to jump in as well, but let them attempt to have a conversation. Also, we got over 250 people participating in the vote, but we do not have 100 likes. That is insanity. I do not know what's wrong with y'all, but y'all need to figure out. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the comment. It is okay. Don't be a oppressor. Free us,
All
goddamn
Willie, what about the
right. So
1865
hold
Homestead
on.
Act?
Here's the deal, right? I'm not disagreeing with Diva at all. Whether we use the 1860 or 1870, it is what it is. The
But you're
point I
ignoring the
was making was
1865 Homestead Act.
it's going to be tied to some historical documentation, right? It's not going to be about DNA, even though that may be a portion of how you can prove you're connected. It's not going to be based on that. It's going to be based on some standard. If your family member is listed on this 1870 census as Negro, you qualify. All right, cool. The problem then becomes how many Negroes can actually prove their family lineage back that far? I'm talking about the descendants of foundational Black Americans, right? Who should be do this. Most of our people, I would argue, probably can't get past 1900. So far, we've heard 1910, right? You got to realize slavery by 19.
1817.
All right, I'll give you 18 cents. And I traced mine. Well, my family did, but I do know my lineage
Your
back
family did. You didn't
to
do it
the.
yourself.
I do know my
So
lineage
we should be
back.
talking to your family.
I do know my lineage back, right, to the late 1700s as well. So yes, it can be found through a number of things. Things like federal records. You have things like christenings and church records and whatnot, where these people are documented and the connections can be made. But here's the problem, right? Most Negroes can't get past 1965. A lot of folks don't even know who their daddy is, right? So now, the more we try to restrict and
Oh,
confine,
it's harder,
right,
bro.
the parameters for getting reparations, you kind of prevent anyone from really getting it, right? Like, I kind of gave up on the reparations argument last year when I saw Black people making anti-reparations arguments, not even knowing, right? A lot of this stuff that we start to argue is documented in American history, right? There's HR 40 that hasn't been brought up yet, right? These are
Yes,
things
sir.
that our government has looked at. These are things that's defined, right? White folk ain't even denying certain things the way a Negro that'll bring up the Black Law Dictionary is, right? So we're starting to actually trip over ourselves, making bad arguments. Now, and I'll land here, the more we try to constrict the pool of people who could receive reparations, the more we, number one, make it harder for those that should qualify to qualify, right? And the less likely we are to get anything. So for me, right, the reparation conversation could go all the way to the 60s. We can show legal oppression against Blacks in the 60s, right? Problem is, there was a couple Jamaicans here. So now you have foundational Blacks that want to throw out everything, all these legitimate arguments, because they don't want two Jamaicans to get reparations, right? Because
Absolutely.
my reparations argument would go, yes, from slavery, but I wouldn't stop there. I would go all the way up to segregation, right? So now it's not even as hard for us to prove. It's much harder to prove you go back to 1870 than it is to prove you go
It's
back to
really not.
1960, right? So,
Ancestry.com got all those documents. It's really not. Go on there, y'all. Y'all will be surprised. Or you could go on Family Search. That's free. But go on
but
there. They
but
got the
vaginal
documents. You'll be
but
surprised.
vaginal supremacist, right? What I'm saying is it's much easier. Most of us know family members that were alive in the 60s. They pick lint from our hair. That would be a very easy thing to prove, right? But when we stop at these censuses, right, 1870, 1860, whatever, it's going to be harder for our own people to prove those things. And it almost seems like that's the goal to keep other people out.
Okay, all right, Willie.
Right. Because only the people who are descended from those people should be getting it. So what I'm hearing you say is that you think any Black person that's here should be able to get reparations. Is that correct?
I'm
I know you
saying,
Pan-Africanist.
I'm saying in my argument, right, there's a reparations argument in the 60s as well. When you look at redlining, when you look at Jim Crow, when you look at all these things,
Right. So do
you
that.
get
But the reparations we're talking about now is specifically for slavery. It's not a catch-all for every wrong that was done to Black people. So now, if you want to go and start a movement to get reparations for redlining or for segregation or for Jim Crow, go right ahead. But that's not what the current reparations conversation is about. It's strictly
so
about slavery.
So I would disagree with that. Having read through HR 40, right? There is a portion of the argument that says we were affected by the laws of America even in the 1900s, right? So
Right.
it
Okay.
doesn't necessarily
Willie,
have
But
to
Willie,
stop
Willie.
with
HR 40
slavery.
was
Now hold on.
drafted
I'm
by
not
Sheila
against.
Jackson Lee, who was a foreigner, right? And so she is going to write it such that she would be able to be included.
Why
I
is this
get your point.
But
dumbass even
HR
talking?
I get your
40
point.
is not, that's already been put to bed, right? I thought they was
I
trying
get your
to,
point. No, I get your
right.
point.
So
And I'm
Okay, so
saying
Wall
that.
Street Willie, Wall Street
Go
Willie.
ahead.
Why are you bringing up other things that have nothing to do with the conversation? We are talking about people that was affected by slavery. Why are you bringing up something else that doesn't have with the argument at hand?
Because if we're talking about reparations, the argument doesn't simply end with
No,
slavery.
the
There are those.
reparation about
What?
no. Right now, the conversation that the people that would get the reparations is on people that was in slavery, not Jim Crow.
All right, so
Because
See how
cool.
we
So cool.
dilute the
So cool.
movement that
I'm
quickly?
fine.
that
I'm
quickly,
fine with it being
that quick, and this is
1870.
why the FBA is important, so we could delineate, because we do know people that have came here in the 70s that did not have anything to do with slavery whatsoever, but they want a piece of the pie by saying, I couldn't buy a house in a certain area because of Jim Crow.
Right. And what I'm
All right, so
saying is,
now that we understand that,
yep,
I got a question for you.
yep,
Would you vote yes or no?
yes,
You'll vote yes. Okay.
at all times, because I'm always black first. So I'm not looking to
Except for when it
exclude.
comes to reparations.
I'm not looking to exclude anyone from this, right? I
You
They
want.
have to-
already
you-
got
you-
their
you- okay,
reparations,
all right,
dummy.
so hold on. So how can you
God,
Who's
dog.
they?
how can
Like,
Who's they, dickhead?
hold on,
Now let me
Willie.
deal with
Willie,
me.
hold
All right,
on,
my
hold
fault.
on.
Here we go.
So Willie, so you believe that the Somalis are black as well?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so how can you be black first and then
He just countered his whole fucking argument. Good
No, I
job,
didn't.
Willie.
that is crazy?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, because there's a separation between the people that got affected by slavery and the people that got affected by redlining. It's a
You
difference.
What
literally
I'm
just said you
explaining,
don't
what
want
I'm
to exclude
explaining to
anybody.
you
Did
is
you not just
this.
say that?
What I'm explaining to you is this, right?
No.
When you
Don't
look
explain no
at the
more.
foundational
Okay.
black people who deserve this, the
Hold on,
more
hold on.
complicated
Let me
you
also
make
say,
the argument.
Hold on.
All right.
Sim, if you
Yeah.
want Wall Street Willie to shut up, you could pay $20 to kick him down for 15 minutes
Yeah,
so
pay
he can
some
be
money, you
quiet.
bum ass nigga, so I could double it. But anyway, back to what I was saying, right?
I like that game.
What I'm saying is for foundational blacks who would deserve it, the harder we make the conversation, the less of them are going to be able to qualify. If I'm just talking about Kunta Kinte's babies, right, the descendants of slavery, chattel slavery in America, what I'm saying is I personally believe the overwhelming majority of them will not be able to prove themselves back to an 1870 census,
Okay,
right?
thank you. And so we will have to
That's not true. That's not true.
Right.
We'll just have to wait until
All you have to do is find. See, the problem is they think that we're gonna get the proof through the male loins, and it's not gonna come through the male loins. It's gonna come through the woman. If you can prove, which I can prove, that my great grandmother was a baby slave, I am entitled to reparations.
So again, this is where we make the argument more difficult. If you're saying that we just have to use the mother, right? Now all these black men who people can attach their family line to, now that's irrelevant. We
Willie, did you graduate high
continuously
school?
make the
Hold on.
conversation more difficult.
Hold on. So
Yeah.
you saying your whole argument for is because it's going to be difficult?
I'm saying my whole
Yes or
argument
no?
is
Yes or no?
yes.
Okay, that is a stupid argument. All right,
It's
go
not
ahead.
stupid.
Uda. Yes, that is.
Sharon, he
Just
didn't.
because
I
something
didn't
is
say that at all.
hold on.
He don't exclude nobody earlier.
Just because something
Sharon,
is
super chat.
hold on, y'all.
Sitting here talking about
Where I
DNA
didn't, hold on, just because
with
something
regard to
is
reparations, that's
hold
stupid.
on. Just because something is difficult, does that mean we shouldn't do it? Go ahead, Uda. That's ridiculous.
I had a thought, but I don't know. We had a conversation. You guys me a question. I had a thought. My shit, I smoked the trees. My shit then left. Great. I shit took a parachute out my
Sharon,
brain.
Stop blaming it on the weed. nigga.
It must
didn't
have
come
been.
through.
I don't know. That's something.
Hold on. The super chat didn't come through yet. Hold on. Let me see. So Uda, what is your thought? Do you agree with? Do you believe that the FBA movement should be taken serious?
Yeah, I think it should be, man. I think these people have been making enough noise for a long period of time. We see everybody online. We see the stir that is causing online. We see that now actually political people are actually mentioning it now. So you can see that it's actually on radars. Whether we want to think it should be official, I think it should be. You know what I mean? Why not? Why just because they create something?
Do you agree with
do you agree? I don't think it's as organized though. That's what I don't think. I don't think it's.
Do you agree with that FBA talk and how they communicate and separating ourselves from Caribbean Americans or African and saying that is a difference between them and the people that was affected by slavery here? Do you agree with the talk?
Not all the way. No, I would say no. You know, I understand that they feel like some people come to the country though, and feel like some people try to attach themselves to their plights or different things like that. So we can understand some of those things. Those things are relevant arguments. You know, I believe that.
And my next question: would you be somebody that could get reparations from what you know about your history?
I don't know if they're giving out some reparations. Send me some too, though. But you know, I'm not really here for reparations. But I do believe that people that should be like, if you think you're foundational to America and things like that, you should be able to. But I just think it gets confused because we understand that some people were foundational to America and were shipped out of America. You cannot say that didn't happen. Some people were from America and shipped to the islands as well to be slaves there to work. Even though we understand that majority of the slaves came from Central and Western Africa.
So if they got shipped to another country, should that country be the person that paid their reparations?
Yeah, I guess so, possibility. But you know what I mean? What I'd say is like it's just so confused because if we really believe that slavery happened, because some people believe that it didn't, but if we really believe that it happened, then I think that we're more mixed up than we sometimes think. You know what I mean? But me and Diva, I think we had a conversation the other day, and she was telling me like there's still people that's foundational to America regardless of.
Okay, so if the person can prove that they was if they could prove that they was affected by slavery, they should be able to get some. So it doesn't matter where they got shipped and none of that.
I think so. I think if you was a slave and y'all was affected by slavery, I think that reparation should be reparation.
In America, right? Affected by slavery in
America. I don't know what they're gonna do abroad because abroad is something else. I'm just talking about in America.
Right, but that's the key component. Got to be by America. So America was the reason why they got their ass shipped somewhere.
Hey, Diva, what about people who were traded internationally through slave traders in America?
Explain.
Like, let's say somebody's grandpa ended up getting traded to a Brazilian because he paid the right price, but his family was foundational in America.
Right. So usually when enslaved people were sold to an owner outside of the United States, that was as a punishment to that enslaved person, right? So they were problematic and they said, oh, okay, you want to act up? I'll show you. And so they would ship them to or sell them to someone in a different country because those sugar plantations, and Louisiana had sugar plantations too, but those sugar plantations, were very rough. It was brutal. As a matter of fact, one of the punishments they used to give to the enslaved people if they, got out of line was to push them in a vat of hot sugar. And so I don't know if y'all know what that does to you, but it'll clean everything off.
And it melts the skin. Yep. It melts the skin.
And so usually it was as a punishment. But those people would have been there and gone through, the process. They call it ethnogenesis to become whatever, a Brazilian. Now they're a Brazilian.
So getting put in a bed of sugar is a punishment?
What happened?
A molten hot vat of sugar, yes.
Yes. Do you know the process of making sugar?
It's like tarring.
That's like being boiled alive. Like, who is this guy?
They don't teach that in the black slave law.
It's worse than being boiled alive, but
Show me one
like,
slave
because I feel some type of way. My family lineage
in America,
comes from Louisiana.
Mine does too. My
last name Barbados.
In America, bro.
Barbados. Who Barbados?
Oh, I'm thinking I must be getting you confused with somebody else then.
Exactly. I'm right. But what I'm saying is, can you show me one slave ship?
Yes.
What is it? The Clotilda?
The Henrietta Marie.
See what I said?
The Clotilda?
The Henrietta Marie.
Where's this at?
Right
hold on.
Coast of Alabama.
It's in Alabama. Can somebody show us a picture? Because I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I'm
But I
finna
can
pull them
show
up.
you the
I'll put
slave
some in the
ship.
back chat.
I can show you the first slave ship.
So, all right. So now, if we show you or we don't show you, what does that mean?
Nothing.
It means a lot because how are you going to get 20 million people from here to Africa when it's clear what slavery really was? It was contractual, like I keep saying. And you have all these tethers who already got their reparations, who cosplay as black, and then they try to act like we was getting whipped with sugar cane and picking cotton, which sounds like a horrible time. And like y'all not using.
I don't think you. I think you are not
realizing what slavery was. It was
so yeah. What I think
slavery.
the problem is that people like you are just not good listeners.
No, I don't have to listen to this. I'm not listening to the same babble that I've heard my whole life, and we're getting nowhere.
No, but we're not saying something that you know your whole life.
We clear as day.
No, hold on.
Got sold, what they get sold with?
Hold
down. Contract.
So you're not. Hold on. You're not listening to. Hold on. You're not listening to babble that you know because you come up with questions because you never heard it before, right? With the whole sugar thing, right? You never heard it before. And again, nobody here on this panel said anything about bringing 20 million people on a boat.
That's what they say.
We're not talking about they. We're talking about the conversation that we are having today on this channel. So I don't know why you add in conversations with people that we don't know, because I didn't speak today.
And how are y'all to bring up 1860 to 1870? Y'all bring up the 1865 Homestead
because
Act?
the person on the panel can prove all the way up to 1870 how their family member was a part of slavery. The person on the panel, not talking about somebody. Hold on. We're not talking about an imaginary they. Somebody on the panel said they already traced themselves all the way back to it, and then we have another person on the panel saying that their grandmother's mother was an infant.
I can tell you I'm Batman at night. You gonna believe it?
Okay, so then if that's the case, then how do we know anything, right?
Come on, bro.
If we just don't, everything is a lie that we don't agree with, then how do we know anything? How can we
use your brain? If we're misidentifying slavery, why do you think, like I brought the book of demonology earlier when I was half asleep to show you the book of demonology is not about demons, it's about bad contracts and not getting into it.
White people aren't even arguing this.
That there's two USAs, a corporation.
Okay, that's fine, but nobody's talking about your fucking bad contracts. We having a conversation
when the slave got sold from here to Africa, or the other islands, which was real slavery that told slavery in reverse.
CM, this is why I was having a problem with you earlier. You cannot have a discussion about what we are actually talking about because you are only a talking point, right? So you cannot substantiate anything that you're saying. All you can do is hold on. All you can do,
I'm talking about.
All you can do. That is fine. However, we are not talking about that.
We're talking about slavery.
We are all right, but we're not talking about what you were talking about slavery. We're talking about a certain part of slavery, and you're talking about other things that have nothing to do with our discussion at the moment. Yes, you're talking about a certain situation that happened in slavery, but at the moment, we are discussing a very specific part of slavery. Just because we said the word slave, just like stupid as Byron Donald, doesn't mean that because you are black, you can now attach yourself to being a slave.
Okay, that's why I brought up earlier. Black is a social conscience.
That is fine, but we're not talking about
just like Black's Law isn't named after somebody named.
I'm trying to like. It's like everything I say.
That's not what Okay, so again, we are trying to have a conversation, and for some reason, you're not understanding the discussion.
I'm telling you where black comes from.
Right, so just because I'm talking about cars doesn't mean that you get to start talking about Mercedes-Benz. Do you understand?
Can I ask you a question?
No.
Clearly I can. At least you were honest with that.
Thank you. This is crazy.
Conversations with MJ, $10. The fact that we had Byron and Winston position themselves in politics to advocate for their communities and fight against reparations is proof. This is the proper path. Colbert Hunter, $12, FBA is clearing the battlefield of tethers.
But I got two really good questions for you. So when did we start going by black? Because you know we got reclassified.
What does that have to do with reparations?
The FBA is not another reclassification by the government to keep pulling the wool over our eyes. Sharon.
What?
I said, when did we start going by black?
That was dumb. That has nothing to do with the conversation of reparations.
No, can I finish what I'm saying?
I prefer not.
Are we sure reparation or FBA is not under the reclassifications to keep us from reparations by the government, the same people who have brought in all these intelligent immigrants to cosplay us?
So the first thing we have to do is get together and get them to sign something to say that they owe black folks a reparation, and then we can start talking about how they're going to deliver it and all these other things. But first, we need to at least get them to say we are going to give black Americans reparations, and then we can go to the next level. How are we going to prove it? Then we go to the next level. How are we going to what's the word I'm looking for?
But Sharon, it's black Americans who are descendants of slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not
that black people built this.
How they going to distribute it, right? Is all these different things that is going to happen, but it has to have a sequence. And this is the problem that a lot of men that do not that are not. A lot of people that don't understand that it had to have a sequence of events, and we.
But I think it was good that Trump acknowledged that black people are the people who built America. I think that was like a start.
He did acknowledge it. He's like the only president to do so.
He said Native Americans. Yeah. He didn't call. He didn't say like he didn't get specific.
He said black Americans.
He said
that's
Native
what he called us.
No, he said black Americans. He said specifically African Americans.
He literally said black Americans, goofy nigga.
What did you say, Fufu?
And this is what
he literally said, goofy ass black Americans. Stop making shit up.
Yeah, I think that's a start. That no other president has really acknowledged that. So to me, I feel like that's a start.
And this is what I think is highly interesting, is that as we get closer to getting things done for black Americans, more black people are trying to fight against it. I don't understand why. I don't understand what is
because they don't qualify for it. Because they don't qualify. Because we are